Hi everyone, and welcome to Fan Commentary. This is one of my favorite Dino Thunder episodes, or Dino Thunder episode arcs for the entire season. I always enjoyed the Evil Ranger storytelling, from Tommy when he first did it to Ryan. It always fascinated me that a normal hero for the show would turn evil for, unknown reasons, whether because by choice or by forced. And it was a really cool way how they had to work around the Abaranger story because long story short, Abaranger is very different to Dino Thunder. It's almost as different as MMPR is to Jew Ranger, and so they had to work around a lot of different elements because, it was a grudge and all this other stuff with the characters. So how would you build around this problem of introducing a evil White Ranger, but you don't have anyone evil? So why not have the Dino Gem be evil and take over someone's body? It gives you so many different options, problems, and issues that get filled up all over the round through the season, including Kira, Trent himself, Anton Mercer, Mesagog. There's so many different directions that they went with. What I also loved about Dino Thunder is that they acted very well, and I'll even Haley here is very stupid and goofy because it's just like I heard something and I'm gonna defend myself with the microphone stand, which is like the dumbest thing you could do instead of, I don't know, take the chairs over there because that would be kind of easier. And we see that, Trent's been somewhat living here and just drawing because his father really doesn't like what he's doing. He doesn't see any worth. This dynamic I love too because, maybe they chose it because, a lot of fans love the Wes Mr. Collins story, so they went in a similar direction, which is okay. But it's different where, Trent's adopted, and we have additional issues with that. What I also love is that drawing on Power Rangers is very unique. No one has done it ever since, and it works so well into linking up to the Abaranger footage because we have the weapon, which is very bizarre to PR standards, the Drago sword, which was the wing pendant in Abaranger. If you pay attention whenever they shoot close up of Mesagog, you can see they have a light directly on his eyes to make it feel a little bit more uneasy, and you can see they have to always follow him. I always loved the way Ethan Gaines played Mesagog because he's not like Rita or Zed yelling at when someone fails like Goldar. He is more reserved. He did like these weird things, which I'm surprised they even, showed this because it just shows how evil he is in a more gruesome way without, killing someone. And it also shows his intelligence because they've been hiding the white Dino Gem for a year in pretty much plain sight, and they know Dr. O has been looking for them, so they kept it shielded. I also like the Mesagog logo. It kind of looks like Shane's Ninja Storm emblem because it kind of looks like the bird symbol. It's like I wish they had made something for fans for that little prop. And it also sucks that they had these really nice Dragomorpher carvings out of the stone, and we only get to see them for those few seconds. And this I also enjoyed because we as fans kind of have a disconnect between Tommy becoming a race car driver last time in Turbo, and then he becomes a paleontologist. So there is a little bit of an issue here, but at least since they set him up to be a paleontologist, they do show his interest and he's trying. Here comes Devin and Cassidy's, beginning of the whole let's find out who the Power Rangers are and their journey through the news and stuff. In a way, this is very similar to what happened in MMPR season 2 because her old goal is like, I want to work as a news reporter and this and Devin, they have all this funny stuff. Devin is smarter than Cassidy in a lot of ways and vice versa. I also like, if you look in the background, there's a lot of detail and articles about the Power Rangers on there. I wish we could read them. We don't really get to see much. And they are playing, I think, episode 2 of Abaranger in the background, but it's, they always cut out the Japanese footage. That's why you see the footage repeat multiple times. This also really fits well into the episode because even though, the main focus is Trent and how he turns into the White Ranger, we still have enough time to, have Devin and Cassidy be a part of the story, and it will work its way into later episodes. I always found it funny that this is just a modified drill gun. Although I always wondered if anyone keeps these props. He is right because, until they know who is who, we don't know if some good person stole it or some bad person stole it. I really love this scene. It's my favorite scene in the episode because Trent knows his father's hiding something. He doesn't know what, but he's also dealing with, his argument between his passion of being an artist versus, Anton wants him to be a businessman. And you can see both of them know each other, but you also can see that Anton is struggling because of Mesagog. But now, if you this is the first time you've seen the episode, this is also more of a red herring toward the fans because, you may realize he may work for Mesagog, but you may not realize he is Mesagog. You see how both of them are playing chess. I want to get rid of him because I'm going to turn into Mesagog. Trent knows something's going on, but I also want to confront my father. And both characters even know that they're doing this to one another. I love that Trent stayed behind when he saw his father do this because a lot of times in shows they'll have the characters be very stupid and not do the obvious for the sake of keeping a plot going, but here this is how it works together. Now, I always found it dumb that Mesagog would leave the invisiportals so easily exposed that anyone can take it, but then again I was thinking Mesagog is not stupid. He may have done that on purpose so that Trent may go in there one day. And now I don't think he was intended for him to steal the Dino Gem. That would have been stupid. But I think he was going to use him as a ploy, maybe to get to Anton first. Mesagog is so much the reverse of Zed. While Zed is always yelling and screaming at failures, even when, Elsa, fails here or annoys him at least, he will always speak softly and calmly, but at the same time he's really mad and angry at her screwing up. That's what makes him feel even more creepier. I felt when I was younger, Zed was creepy too, but when he yelled and screamed, it was kind of funny. But Mesagog, he's much more creepier. If you pay attention as the shot fades out, you can see what she's actually grinding on and not actually the prop. I don't expect everything to be answered in the show. That's stupid. But as long as you cover the basic bases of all the potential plot holes and issues, and you've come up with a great story, you don't have to answer everything. The beginning of the living Dino Gem. I mean, technically, all of them are living because they need a host in the sense. And basically, whoever was there first was able to grab it. It's like at first when I first saw the episode, I thought maybe Trent could see into the future. Maybe that's what they were going for. I didn't think they were gonna his powers being a chameleon, which I thought was kind of weak. That was like one of the negative things about them with the White Ranger powers. You basically just copy Tommy's ability of invisibility. It's just like it's the same thing. This is the beginning of the whole using of the White Ranger and the working around the limitations with the footage because again, there's a lot of material in Abaranger they have to tweak in order to use this, and of course, there's additional problems because if you don't know, in Abaranger, the Super Dino mode was premiered immediately in the beginning of the season. It was just an ability that they can use, and it wasn't an unlocked ability that DinoThunder did. So if you pay attention, especially with this White Ranger fight, there's a lot of weird editing choices and issues where they have to jump around in little places because they're cutting around Super Dino mode. Some of the footage they can't use with the White Ranger. I also particularly don't care for some of the fight because if you pay attention closely later on, a lot of the characters are acting out of character because they're using the Abaranger footage. Pay attention, you can see some Japanese writing over there. That dates the show, unfortunately. It's like you always wonder with the White Ranger, especially in the beginning, it's just like, is Trent still in there at this point? Because sometimes you could see that he's trying not to fight, but at the same time, it's like, is he enjoying it? Because we don't really know, because it's kind of like, it's an amalgamation of Trent and the White Dino Gem. Now, Zeltrax doesn't really get used in this episode because of Japanese footage limitations, and that's a lot of times the reason why Zeltrax is not used, and probably the main factor of why the whole Smitty backstory with Tommy doesn't really get explored because they had to use him. It's not like they couldn't get around Zeltrax. And unfortunately, I wish they had gotten a little bit more. But yeah, due to footage issues, that's why Zeltrax is not in the episode. But it does bring up the question, like, why don't you, like, use Zeltrax too in this fight to gather him? I always wondered why the White Ranger never really did that ability after this episode. Trent doesn't even do it himself when he becomes good. It's like some of the abilities that the evil White Ranger like initially started with, he doesn't do later on. Yeah, of course, another complaint in this is like, why did Tommy take so long to appear? They're obviously being beaten and he doesn't appear, and it's confusing. It's again dealing with Japanese footage, so you have to, you have limitations. But I wish they had Tommy doing something to keep him preoccupied instead of just watching. Now, here comes another issue with characters because Blue and Yellow are very mad in the Abaranger footage, and it's really not like Kira and Ethan to act like this. Especially this now. Tommy does not act like this. This is Asuka personality coming through. PR is pretty good actually in dealing with that for the most part, but if you pay attention, you could see when they're struggling and have to deal with either cutting out maybe something that the censors don't like from the Ranger footage, or because they have to link material from scenes between each other later. So it's not the best edited episode, but I still enjoy it. This is another ability that seems to disappear. It's just like this would be so useful when Trent is fighting monsters to be able to absorb their energy in order to cancel out, special attacks, or in the Ranger's case, their morph. What I also really liked was Trent as the evil White Ranger had a very deep voice because, the obvious thing to ask yourself, well, how come you can't recognize the Ranger's voices? Especially Bulk and Skull are the ones who noticed that too and wanted to try to figure out who the Rangers were in that episode. And, I was like, great, they actually thought about it because every time, whenever I rewatch Green with Evil, I was like, you can easily tell it's Tommy if you pay attention to the voice. They never gave like any type of filter to cover it up. Yes, of course, Tommy, you know that very well that a ranger can be evil. And it's always the most devastating because, if you think about it, if you're a ranger and you see someone become evil, it has to be a conundrum for yourself. It's like, could I become evil because either the power or maybe even the dino gems? Because what says the other dino gems could not be evil too? Because we don't really know what they're made of, what power source, where do they come from? Like they had that meteorite episode in the future, and it's like maybe the dino gems were from a different planet, and we don't know if they were good or bad because the white dino gem was bad. I also like how Trent looks like garbage. He's very pale, and even Devin paid attention to it a little bit.